Hello, bonjour, and welcome to another edition of JSL TV. I'm your host. My name is Joel. In this video, we're going to be discussing the World Cup draw, which just took place for Qatar 2022 just hours ago earlier today. We now know, or we know for the most part, not entirely, but we know for the most part who the defending world champions will be playing when group play begins for World Cup 2022 in Qatar in November. Here are my 5 takeaways from the opponents and what the French can expect coming in to group play for World Cup 2022. Starting with point number 1, it is déjà vu. Well, if you are a French fan like me, you got a big sense of déjà vu when you saw some of the teams that are being drawn and who the French will play come November. That is because there are some teams who the French have played in major competitions, a lot of, and a lot we have played in recent memory. Denmark is a team we have played a number of times throughout the years, whether it's in Euros, in World Cups. It seems to be one of those teams, kind of like the Swiss, who they always seem to draw the French whenever they're playing them, whenever they're qualified for World Cups or Euros. Denmark always seems to creep into the picture. It's like they are sort of attached at the hip to one another. So Denmark, a very familiar team for Les Bleus. Of course, Denmark, the semifinalists at the recent Euro a year ago. France played them 4 years ago in their final group game. In fact, it was the only game that was a scoreless draw in the entire World Cup in 2018. Another potential opponent is another team that is eerily familiar, gives us a sense of déjà vu from the group that France had in 2018. We'll remind you that in 2018, the French group consisted of Australia, who they played first, then Peru, and then finally it was Denmark, with France and Denmark making it out of that group stage. Now, we don't know who the third opponent is going to be for Les Bleus just yet, but there is a good chance that it could be somebody who they were grouped with in 2018, and that is because the Interconfederation playoffs have yet to be played, and that last team, which is still to be determined, will be either Australia, the Socceroos, who the French beat 2-1 in their opening game in the 2018 FIFA World Cup. It could be Peru, who France beat 1-0 in their second game of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Or it could be potentially the United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates are looking to make their first appearance since the 1990 World Cup in Italy. So, some very familiar teams to the French. That last team, Tunisia, again, France haven't played them in World Cup play before, but there are some familiar faces on the French team, some Tunisian players who play in Ligue 1, who I'm going to get into, and some French players who have Tunisian backgrounds. Point number 2, it is a good omen. Maybe, maybe not. If you follow the French national team like I have throughout the years, you will relish the chance to play Denmark. Why will you relish the chance to play Denmark? Well, because if you're a superstitious person like myself, you will know that when the French play the Danes in a World Cup, in a Euro, as long as they are on the winning side of things, things tend to go really well for the French team. Is that just coincidence, or is there something to that? It will remain to be seen, but let's go through the amount of times that the French have played the Danes in a major competition. The first time in recent memory that I can recall was in 1984 in the Euro in France. Michel Platini scored the game-winning goal as France went on to a 1-0 victory. They went on to win the entire tournament. After that victory, eventually the Danes went on to the semifinals, losing in a penalty shootout to Spain. France won their first major national competition on that stage way back in 1984, and the catalyst to getting things started was Denmark. Let's fast forward to Euro 1992. France and Denmark playing for a spot in the semifinals of that competition. Denmark comes out on top. Michel Platini was coaching the French team at that time. What happened? Denmark won that game. moved on to the semifinals. Denmark eventually won the Euro, backstopped by Peter Schmeichel and Brian Laudrup, among others. Let's keep going. 1998. The French and the Danes meet again at World Cup 1998 in France in the final game of their group. France coming out with a 2-1 victory. What happens? Later on in the tournament, France go on to win the World Cup, their first World Cup at that particular time. Fast forward another 2 years. France plays Denmark again in Euro 2000. France beats them 3-0. What happens? France goes on to win Euro 2000 in dramatic fashion against the Italians. Moving on, there is World Cup 2002. Denmark beats France 2-0. They lose into the round of 16. So maybe not necessarily always a parallel and always a good omen, but more often than not. Moving on, 2018. The French and the Danes play each other again. It's a 0-0 draw, a bit of a dull game, not really much to play for both teams. What happens? The French go on and win the tournament. Is this a good omen? Could this be a sign of things to come for whoever wins that game? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Point number 4, Wabi Do. And when I'm talking about Wabi, I'm talking about Wabi Kazri, somebody who you will be very familiar with if you follow Ligue 1. Kazri, of course, a big striker with Les Verts at Saint-Etienne. He leads Saint-Etienne in goals in this domestic campaign with 9. He is one of the main reasons why Les Verts have gotten themselves out of relegation danger. They're still fighting to stave off relegation, looking to remain in Ligue 1 next season. Kazri plays for the Tunisians, is one of their big strikers, one of their top goal scorers. He is one of 3 players who was playing in Ligue 1 and is still playing in Ligue 1, who was selected for the Tunisian national team when they took on Mali in their recent World Cup qualifiers before eventually clinching their place in World Cup 2022. Will that familiarity help the Tunisians, who have not fared traditionally very well in World Cup play? We'll have to wait and see come November. Point number 5, facing family. Now, of course, we don't know yet who will be selected for the French national team as they look to defend their World Cup crown, but there is a good possibility that one of those players chosen could be Wissam Ben Yedder. Wissam Ben Yedder is having another fantastic season at Monaco in Ligue 1. He leads Ligue 1 in goals at the moment, and there was a time not too long ago where Ben Yedder had an opportunity to play for the Tunisian national team. The Tunisian Federation of Football offered Wissam Ben Yedder a spot in the World Cup team in 2018. Ben Yedder declined. Ben Yedder decided he's going to take his chances, try to get a spot in with the French team. Will he get a spot? Will he get to play at all in the World Cup? He didn't get to play in the Euros, unfortunately, with the likes of Mbappe, with the likes of Griezmann and company, Karim Benzema now. Who knows if he's going to get into the French team? Seems likely probably as a substitute. If he gets chosen, which I think there's a good opportunity that he will he be able to play against the Tunisians? And what kind of feeling will that be for him? Those are my 5 takeaways, but you know what? I've got one more that I'm gonna throw at you guys just because I feel like this is something worth talking about, and that is reversing the curse. When I'm talking about the curse, I'm talking about the curse of the world champions. That is, if you believe in curses, if you believe in those kind of things, well then you will be a little bit weary of that when you look at the French group and you look at what they have coming up. And the reason behind that is because defending world champions have not fared traditionally well in the new millennium in recent times when they come into a World Cup as the defending champions looking to retain their title. Let's go back to 2002. The French were world champions at that time, also reigning European champions, also Confederation Cup champions. What happened in 2002? I wish I could forget because it was something that I would like to erase from my memory. However, unfortunately, I cannot. The French finished bottom of their group. They had 1 point, 0 goals. They go out in the group stage. 2010, Italy, defending world champions. What happens? they go out in the group stage in that year after they won the World Cup in 2006. 2010, they're out after 3 matches. 2014, Spain are the defending world champions. They come into their group stage in 2014 in Brazil. They get knocked out in the group stage as defending world champions. Last World Cup 2018, Germany are the defending world champions. What happens? Germany out in the group stage. There is a familiar trend. The only defending champion who have come into a World Cup as the defending champion and made it through to the group stage in the new millennium was Brazil. They were the defending champions in 2002. They made it into the quarterfinals in 2006. Can France bump that slump? Can they change the course of history? Can they reverse the curse? We'll find out come November. Now, before that, of course, the French have some big games coming up. They've got their UEFA Nations League, which they will begin defense of starting in June. Who do they play? Of course, they play Denmark in their opening game in June. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your takeaways. What do you think about the French group? Can they reverse the world champions curse? Do you believe in curses? Who do you think should make the French national team? What do you think about some of my takeaways? France, first World Cup game as they begin defense of their title will be on November the 22nd. As always, you can like and subscribe to this video, give it a thumbs up, let me know your thoughts and comments, and of course, check out more quality French content in the future.